welcome back to my YouTube channel, or welcome to my new YouTube channel if you are new here. So glad to have you. My name is Kaylin and I am a small content creator. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about the 5 things you should know before purchasing ferrets. There are a lot more and I'm going to do a longer video, but I don't have a ton of time today and I just want to get something posted. Plus, if you're just trying to do a quick bit of research and you don't have a lot of time, I 100% recommend doing more research than this, but if it's just a quick video, just you're like, what are ferrets? Which I know, before delving into deeper research, I want this to be the video for you. Something that easily pops up when you search ferrets or whatever. So that's what I'm doing, and I hope you guys enjoy the 5 things you should know before purchasing ferrets. Number 1 is the cost. Ferrets can be pricey, especially if you're getting them from a breeder. In the US, it is really difficult for me. I could not find anybody in the United States that was within like 5 hours of me that had ferrets, and no breeder. I had to get mine from the pet store, which, okay, I have mixed feelings because it is not terrible, but ferrets from pet stores do come from Marshall's Ferretry, which is a ferret mill, which means they can be overbred and are known to have some health problems. Unfortunately, one of the first ferrets I ever got, he passed away after a month because of some sort of respiratory illness he had from the pet store, or well, from Marshall's, which was really sad, and I knew that was a possibility of getting a ferret from a pet store, but I really wanted them anyway, and I'd done all the research, so there are things like that that are unavoidable. But if you're gonna get one from a breeder, which I would recommend, but I totally understand if you can't do that. Pet stores are great, ish. And then there are also rescues, which, I mean, those are good too. You just don't know what kind of thing you'll end up with, you know, because there are some ferrets that are really healthy or that may have come from breeders, and there are ones that may have been rehomed due to an illness that you don't know about. It can be something, but a lot of people are like, adopt, don't shop. And I'm like, do what suits you. So do that. But you can either adopt a ferret if you can find a ferret shelter, which is a great thing to do. They're often paired, the shelter, so you can't always pick out the 2 you want, or one more. I recommend 2 at least. But you can usually get them in a pair. They're also a little bit cheaper that way. So breeders, pet stores, or adoption. Depending on where you get them, they can range somewhere between like $300 to $1,000. It really just depends on where you are. If you're in the UK, I'm not entirely sure about that there, just because I'm in America and I didn't really do the research into the UK. I do know that they're more common up there because they're an exotic pet that a lot of people have. But as far as the US goes, I know there are about 10, maybe more breeders in the United States, but they were nowhere near where I was. And then the rest were all rescues or pet stores. But they can be pricey, and that is something to take into account when you're purchasing a ferret, to make sure you have the money and then a backup in your bank account for vet bills or anything like that, because they can be prone, especially if you get a Marshall's ferret, to certain health problems. And I know some people are like, oh, well, it's a small animal, you shouldn't take them to the vet. And if it was a hamster or a mouse or a rat or something that only lived 3 years, I would understand that. Ferrets are a lot more like cats or dogs. They are an exotic pet, yes, and they are small, but they are most definitely not a rodent, and they need proper care from a vet. If one of them had some sort of sickness or illness, I would definitely take mine to the vet, just to avoid any heartache from one dying, you know, that kind of thing. So that can be pricey. Just bear that in mind when you're getting ferrets, because they are expensive, but they are so worth it. Thing number 2, ferrets do smell. Personally, I don't find it disgusting. They have a scent gland that releases this musky odor. And it's not the thing where they spray, because ferrets, if they're not descented, can spray like a skunk. That's not a problem in the US, especially if you get them from a pet store. They're usually descented, and often breeders descent their ferrets. But they do have a smell, and you will need to wash bedding at least once a week. I have 4 ferrets, and I need to wash it pretty much every day or every other day. So having backup changes of bedding is very good, because it does smell. The oils from their fur get onto the bedding and hammocks, etc., and then it just smells. Plus, if you're potty training a ferret, that means there's puddles and piles of stuff in the corners, which does cause your room to smell. Avoid using essential oils because that can cause problems with the respiratory system. Most essential oils are toxic and can cause breathing problems with ferrets. So don't use diffusers. If you use an air purifier, that works really well. It can purify the air, but it doesn't release any scents. Opening a window is good, and getting airflow in your room. Have a fan, open a window, open a door, let air flow through there to keep it moving. And then just wash the bedding. That really gets rid of a lot of the smell. And then just make sure you don't wash them. That's a thing that a lot of people think, okay, well, I have a ferret that doesn't smell very good. Let's wash them, right? That does work a couple times. You really should not wash your ferret more than like 3 times a year, I'd say. Maybe a little more depending on how dirty they get, but certainly not more than that with soap. Maybe 4 tops, I'd say, but it can strip away their natural oils, which means their bodies work really, really hard to produce more oils, which means they actually smell worse. That's a mistake a lot of ferret owners make in the beginning, and it's okay, I'm not judging, I promise. It's just something that I want to put out there, that ferret owners do make that mistake, so you're not alone if you've done that. You just don't want to wash them too many times. Letting them play when water is different, your bathroom or wherever will smell like wet ferret, but you know, wet dog, wet ferret, wet creature. So if they get muddy, wash them off, but don't use soap too often. That will help the smell, but like I said, don't do it too often. Number 3, ferrets are incredibly active creatures. You can't just stick them in a cage and expect them to be happy there 24/7. That doesn't work. Like if it was a hamster that had a lot of things to do, maybe a rat, another creature like that, you should definitely hold those creatures still, but they don't need it like ferrets do. Ferrets need to be out with you at least 5 hours out of their cage every day. Whether that's in a playpen, supervised playtime out of their cage, like on the floor, coming out with your family, going on walks, whatever works for you, they need at least 5 hours. It doesn't have to all be at once, but let them come out because they will get cage rage. I know it sounds really funny, it's not. They will bite the bars and try to shake the cage to get out, which can really damage their teeth and then cost you vet bills. Plus, I mean, it's just cruel to keep a creature like that. They're like cats or dogs. You wouldn't keep them in their cage all the time. And admittedly, cats and dogs would probably be out a lot more, but ferrets, they're small and they can get in your walls. So be careful of that. But yes, they are very active and you need to be able to do that with them. And that's just something to keep in mind, that they are not an easy pet that just stays in the cage. They need to come out and play. Thing number 4, you need time personally to take care of these creatures. And kind of like what I said before, they are really active, but I didn't specify how much time you need, both to clean the cages, to hang out with the ferrets, to do whatever you need to do. You need to make sure you have that time. Letting them play in a playpen by themselves is great, and that is awesome, and you should definitely do that so they can play with each other, but they also need to bond with you. So if you just leave them in a cage all the time, that really doesn't accomplish much. They won't bond with you, and then you'll have a ferret that doesn't really want to be with you, which can be really frustrating. So you do need to have the time to take care of them and hold them and cuddle them and train them. Like if you have a ferret that bites at first, you need to spend that time to train them because otherwise they won't go away. And then you'll have a ferret that bites. So you need to spend that time training your ferrets, and you need to spend that time with your ferrets, and you need that time. If you don't have it, like if you don't have time for a dog or time for a cat, although cats don't need as much time. If you don't have a time for a dog and you think, okay, well ferrets will be easy, I just want a pet. Don't go ferrets. That's not a good choice. If you can't keep a dog, you can't keep ferrets. But you need that time to be with your ferret. And 5, last thing, you have to be committed to this creature. So you need to do the research and you need to figure out if you really want them. They live around the time of a large dog, somewhere between 10 and 14 years. I think the world's record is 14 years, but ferrets from a breeder tend to live longer. Marshall's ferrets probably will live 7 to 10 years, depending on how you feed them. That is something you need to bear in mind, that this is it's a long commitment. It's not like, okay, well, it's like a rodent, it's gonna live, 3 to 5 years and then it's gonna die. No, it's gonna be around for a while. And you need to make sure you can give it the care it needs from the time you bring it into your home until the time that it dies. That is very important, and I need everyone to know that. And if you can't do that, and that is okay, that is 100% okay if you can't do that. I understand. It was a lot of me considering and then talking to my parents and being like, okay, can I handle this? And I can, thankfully, because I love my babies. They're so sweet. But if you can't do that, then that is something you really don't want to do, because you'll end up A, feeling really sad for them because you can't handle it, and B, I mean, that's sad for them, you know? So just think that through, think over all of the things I said in this video, and I know it is a bit longer than I originally intended, I'm sorry for that. Think about all the things I've said, and bear that in mind when you're doing your research. Bear everything I said. These are basics. There's so many more things you need to know. And like I said, I'd like to do another video at some point. But this is what you need to know. I mean, all that being said, ferrets are an incredible pet. They are definitely one of the favorite animals I've ever owned. And I do not regret getting them. I love them. I love taking them places. I love snuggling with them, playing with them, watching them, being with them. It's a blast. And I think that if ferrets are right for you, you will know, and then you get them, you'll just love it. And if you do discover that they're not the right pet for you, that is okay. It can be sad and it can be hard to come to that conclusion, but it is okay. I wanted ferrets a couple years ago, but I was not at a place in my life. I was too young. I could not handle that. And my parents knew that, and after I got over that, I was like, yeah, no, I understand. So you just need to know that about yourself and know that about the people around you, and see if it is something you can currently handle. And if not, wait a couple of years. You know, it's okay. You have your whole life ahead of you to get these ferrets or not get the ferrets. It is 100% your choice, but please bear in mind the things that I've said. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Alright guys, thank you so much for being here and watching. Thank you for coming to my channel. Please don't forget to like this video and subscribe if you haven't already. I won't make you turn on the notification bell just because that can be really annoying and I don't always do it. But I mean, if you want to, that's totally fine. Thank you guys, and I will see you in the next video. I hope you enjoyed and I hope you found this helpful. Bye everyone!